Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 33 of the Just On End podcast. My name is Elizabeth Zimmerman, but you can call me Liz. I'm coming to you from Cochranville, Pennsylvania, where I live with my husband, Greg, and our two children, Eric and Tilda, and our cat, Sunspot, who's sitting on my lap right now. You can find me on Instagram as Just One End Podcast. You can find me on Ravelry as Algebrina. And there is a Ravelry group for the podcast, which has some activity going on right now because I'm running my annual hat-along at the moment, which I will talk about in a little bit. I think that's the whole spiel. I think. It's been a while. The last time I did an episode, I was actually on my way to Camp Wolf Slayers, which was in May. So it's been a little bit. I have a ton to talk about because obviously a lot has happened since then. I've done a lot of work on things. I've made a lot of purchases. So we have a lot to get through. I'm not going to talk about everything that I've been doing since then because that's 5 months worth of things, including the summer, which is always busy. Which is one of the reasons I didn't podcast because life got really busy. So, but I will go over some things that I've been up to lately, at least some highlights. So we're gonna start there. So the last thing that I was actually, when I put up my last podcast, I was already in Texas because I was finishing the editing while I was at Alan's house. So I was on my way to Camp Wolf Slayers. Camp Wolf Slayers was so much fun. I had a blast. I got to meet a bunch of people who I've been friends with online. I got to meet some new people. I got to meet Alan and Sally, who it's crazy to think that I was just meeting them because I feel like I've known them for so long now. But I had so much fun. Unfortunately, it's been so long that I can't talk in a lot of detail because I don't remember a ton of what we did anymore. But it was a really, really fun time. I am super glad that I went. I will definitely be going again in future. Not next year, but probably the year after. Maybe it'll be an every other year thing. I am blowing cat hair all over myself. I'm going to stop petting the cat. So Camp Wolf Slayers was fantastic. I had some really awesome roommates too. So I got to meet, again, friends that I'd been interacting with and some new people. And it was just, a fantastic time. So thank you to Sally and Alan for putting that on. It's an amazing time. If you guys ever get the opportunity to go, I recommend it. Okay, the other knitting highlight thing that I did was just a couple of weeks ago. I went to Knitter's Day Out, which is an event that is held in, I think it's called State College. No, it's not State College. It's at Pennsylvania. Anyway, it's near Harrisburg. I don't remember any of the details. But that is an event that is, I kind of equate it to like a mini Vogue. It's got classes. There's a marketplace. You can hang out and knit and chat. It's a 2-day event. They do Friday and Saturday. So I decided on a whim to go on Saturday. I thought I was going to be working, so I didn't actually register for any classes, but it turned out that I didn't need to that weekend. So I just went on a whim. I went to the market. I hung out with my friends that I haven't seen in a long time. I just knit and, did some shopping, which you'll see a little bit of that later. And it was a really fun time. It is a great event if you are in the central Pennsylvania, surrounding areas. It's a lot of fun to go to. I think it's always the first weekend in October, although I think last year they had to move it to the last weekend in September or something. It's always around there. So they have a website. You can check it out. And you should go next year because it's a lot of fun. And then lastly, it is actually Rhinebeck weekend. So I am off today because I took off today and tomorrow, today being Thursday, October 17th. So I took off today. I got a haircut this morning, which tells you how busy I've been because this was my first actual haircut since like January. So it's been a while. So it's not just podcasting that I put off. It's life in general has been crazy busy. But anyway, I am leaving for Rhinebeck today. So I am staying 3 nights, a couple of us in the house that I'm staying in. are going up today, and then everybody else is going to be there tomorrow, and we'll all be there through Sunday. I cannot tell you how excited I am because I need a break. It's going to be a fantastic, relaxing weekend, just, knitting and chatting and shopping and lots of fun. So that's this weekend. I'm hoping to get this posted before I actually leave. So if you are watching this and Rhinebeck has not happened yet and you are going to be there and you see me, please come say hi. I'd love to, have a chat and say hi to everyone. Yeah, so I'll tell you more about Rhinebeck when I get back, obviously. But so that's really the highlights of stuff that's been going on. Like I said, a lot has gone on. We went to the beach last weekend and we've done a bunch of other stuff. It's also really cold in my house right now because our furnace broke and now we have to replace the furnace. So that's going on. But yeah, that's all the knitty highlights for you. So before I get into any knitty stuff, I will tell you what I am wearing. I am wearing my Netflix and chill shawl. Since the furnace is broken, my house is very cold right now, so I am also wearing my knitting is my cardio sweatshirt and a shawl. I'm very bundled up at the moment. This is a shawl that I love. This is my Scotland shawl because I was knitting it while I was going to Scotland last summer. It was my airport knitting, it was my bus knitting, it was my train knitting until I finished it, and then I moved on to a cowl. But I love it because it's nice and big. It's got some great texture, but it's, it's not, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's not 100% mindless, but it's great because you've got just sections that you're doing the same kind of thing for a while. So it was great travel knitting. And I'm pretty sure that the Crafty Toads have kits for this right now. I don't know if they're vending at one of the events at Rhinebeck this weekend. I don't remember the details, but anyway, they've got some kits. I shouldn't have taken this off. Now I've got to readjust it to to play with it. Anyway, the yarn was from my friend Jamie, who was dyeing under Beautiful Mess Yarn Works, but she does not dye anymore. So unfortunately, you can't get it anymore. But it was a kit that I picked up from her, and I love the tassels. It's got tassels on each end and the point. 3 tassels. Okay, so that's what I'm wearing. And then before we get into more of the knitty content, I also have a couple of giveaway and knit along things to talk about. So first of all, I have a winner to announce for the giveaway that I put on my last episode, which ended May 31st. So thank you to everyone who commented. I did pick a winner. The winner is Renna Hanlon. She's a longtime viewer, so congratulations, Renna. It has been long enough that you may have purchased the pattern for yourself. That was the prize, which was the Chekhov collection, which included the question and answers shawl that I was knitting last episode. It's by Kino Knits. So if you already bought yourself the pattern because you were sick of waiting for me, then let me know and I will get you another pattern of your choice. But otherwise, you won the Chekhov collection. So congratulations. And then secondly, we've got the annual Just One End podcast hat-along going on right now. I do it through the month of October. I announced it on Instagram. I had not recorded a podcast episode yet. It's now the 17th, and I'm getting into it now. So I will probably end up extending the deadline since I haven't really gotten the word out a lot. But the basic rules are knit a hat through the month of October. No whips, so it has to have been started on October 1st or later. You can double, triple, quadruple dip in other hat-alongs or knit-alongs or make-alongs or whatever's going on. You can knit and crochet. If you want to sew a hat or weave a hat, you can do that too. Yeah, whatever you would like to do. The rules are pretty loose. And you can do multiple entries. So if you knit 3 hats, you can put in 3 hats into the finished objects thread. I do have 2 prizes to give away. I have a pattern and I have a bag. So I'm going to pick the pattern prize from the chatter thread. So make sure that you post in there. And then I'm going to pick the bag prize from the finished objects thread. So yeah, hop on that, go into Ravelry and put your hats and talk about your hats and all of that in both the chatter and the finished objects. I think that's it for that. Oh, deadline, like I said, probably going to be extended, but right now it's October 31st. So we'll see. Okay, time for some actual knitting content. As you may imagine, I have a lot of finished objects. I'm actually going to do them in categories because I have 3 separate categories for my finished objects and multiple items in each. I'm actually going to start off with some sewing. So I was on a kick a couple of months ago making some project bags. It all started because Allison of Daisy Lane Designs was doing a sew along for her beachcomber, beachcomber bag. So I reached out to my sister Mindy to see if she wanted to do it with me because she is also a sewer. I have been known to sew in the past. I think I've mentioned I made my bridesmaids dresses when I got married. I made my prom dress when I was in high school. Like I've done some sewing, but I do not do it very often. So I can sew, I just hadn't been doing it much. So I did do the sew along. I made this bag here. So it's the beachcomber bag. It's got a circular bottom. It's kind of like a sack with a drawstring. And it's got a contrasting liner fabric and an outside fabric. I do not have a lot of fabric options, so these were actually fat quarters that I picked up when Mindy and I went to Pittsburgh a couple of years ago. We stopped in at a fabric store there. And it's just what I had on hand. But I love the cute little chipmunks. I actually have a ball sack with this fabric from Steel City Stitcher. So when I saw it, I picked some up for myself. And then the liner is like a piano, piano keys kind of thing. So, so not the best matched fabric, but like I said, I didn't have a lot of choices. So it is what it is. Yeah, but this was a lot of fun to make. So after I made this one, I thought, you know what, I really like the zip style of bag too. How about I try and make some of those? And I don't have very many fabrics, so how about I go to Daisy Lane Designs Etsy shop and buy some fabric because she was moving to Colorado at the time and did a lot of sales and was trying to get rid of some of her inventory before she moved. So I did that. So I have a lot of fabric. I'm not going to show you because it's over there and I forgot to grab it. So you'll probably just see it as I make things from it eventually. But the other bags that I made were these two. I made them out of the same fabric, but it was 2 different styles of, or 2 different bag patterns. One was I think this one. I'm trying to remember which was which. I think this one was a free pattern. I found it on like a blog spot or something. I'll try to put the link down below. I actually really like this one. It's got little tabs over the edges of the zippers, which I think is a nice effect. I put a pretty big handle on it. I don't remember if the pattern calls for a big one or just a little one that you could put a ring on, but I like one that I can actually put my hand through. It's got a square bottom and you actually cut out the corners before you sew it. So I really like that method because I found that a lot easier than sewing the square and then cutting off the excess fabric. Yeah, so I really like this one. I think it was a nice pattern. It was nice that it was free. And I think the bag turned out great. So that's the outside, and then this is the inside. I think this is also Daisy Lane Design fabric that I picked up. And I'll talk about the project that's in there in WIPs. And then this was the second one that I made. Same fabric, different pattern. This was a paid for pattern that I got off of Etsy. I like this one also. I actually liked different elements of the 2 patterns. So I kind of ended up doing a third bag, which I'll show you in a second, where I took my favorite elements of each and made kind of a hybrid pattern. So this one, it's got a zipper tab that comes all the way out instead of closed on both sides, so you can actually open it up very wide. The fabric inside looks like this. It also has pockets inside, which was something that this pattern had that the other one didn't. That's one of the elements that I really liked. So I've got a pocket on each side. And It's not quite big enough for the project that I have in here, which is my woven shawl, which is a 2-ball shawl, a 2-skein shawl. It's a little bit tight, but but that's okay. Yeah, so I really liked this one too. I did do the little ring on this one. I actually didn't have enough fabric to make a big handle without cutting more, and I didn't feel like doing that. So this is one that I could like make or buy a strap and just clip it onto this. So that'll be something I may do in the future. But yeah, so I made these 2 bags. And then, like I said, I had the elements that I liked from each. So I decided to kind of Frankenstein my own pattern out of it. And I made it as big as I could with the piece of fabric I had. Because I have a lot of fat quarters, which are like pre-cut kind of square fabric. I think it is actually a rectangle, but anyway, it's a certain type of fabric, which sewers and quilters probably know way better than anything I'm saying. But this was one, it's another one that I picked up in Pittsburgh. So I had it on hand. So it's Hungry, Very Hungry Caterpillar. And on the inside, I've got, I think I got this at like Walmart or something, just a red polka dot fabric. So I am having a lot of fun, like just picking fabrics to go together. I don't know that I have the best eye for it, but but it's fun to do. Yeah, so this one is much bigger. I think it can fit a sweater. I just finished a sweater that was living in here, but that was pretty light yarn. I don't know that I could fit a worsted sweater in here. I think that would be pushing it. But yeah, it's a fun little bag. I like it. I did the 2 ends of the zippers. That was the element I liked. I did the cutout corners for the construction. I didn't end up putting in a pocket, but I would if I did another bag. But yeah, I really liked, I liked sewing them. Like I said, it was a kick for, I think I made 2 bags in a week and then like another bag the next week. Like it was a lot of bags all at once. And then I haven't made any since. So, so I still have a pile of fabric. I still have bags I'd like to make, but I haven't actually, done any of it recently. Okay, that needs to be a whip. This needs to be a whip, so I'm going to set those aside. Okay, so those are finished objects for sewing. Next, I'll show you my shawls. These are actually old projects. These are one I was working on in the last episode and one I'd already finished, but I didn't share because it was a test knit. I honestly don't think that she's published the pattern still, but I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. I'll give you all the details in the notes. I don't remember any of the information other than it's called the Cloudsdale shawl. And it's knit in these panels. And I just grabbed some yarn that I had on hand. I actually ended up liking the end result more than I thought I would. I don't particularly love it just looking at it like this, but I'll show you some finished objects pictures where I styled it with a shawl cuff, and I really like how that ended up looking. Yeah, so this was, like I said, it was a test knit. It was the first time I was using Yarn Pond, which was an interesting site. I haven't done any test knitting since then, but if you're somebody who does test knitting, that's a great resource to look for, designers who have open calls, and some of them have like prizes or reimbursement or yarn discounts or things that go along with their test knit, which is nice. So the yarn that I used is, again, it's Beautiful Mess Yarn Works. It's from my stash, so so you can't get it. And I don't know the colors offhand either, but I'm sure that it's in my project page. So I will link that. So that was done, and now you've seen it. The other shawl that I have is one that you had also seen because it was in progress, but now it's done. I was knitting on this, I think, all of Campbell's layers, and I didn't finish it till I got home. This is the question and answer shawl. This is part of the prize that Reno won, was the pattern for this. It has the twisted edge, which I love this element. You've got the gaps on either side of the stripes, and the garter strip that you knit in between is twisted. It's really a cool element. It's a fantastic way to not have a million ends when you're knitting a striped shawl, because that's one of the issues with, multicolored things, is figuring out the ends and everything. you're carrying the yarn as part of the pattern. It's just how it works. It's a little bit fiddly, but you get used to it very quickly. I would highly recommend that if you knit it, you Google how to knit backwards so you don't have to turn back and forth to knit this tiny little strip. I didn't think of that till towards the end, and I didn't want to change my gauge if it was going to make things look different, knitting backwards rather than turning and purling. Or purling? No, it's garter. Anyway, I would figure out how to not have to turn your work so often. That would be my one tip. But yeah, I love this shawl. I love the look of it. I love the colors that I chose. I also love the yarn itself, which I cannot find. Dang it. I can't find the paper thing, the wrapper, yarn wrapper, label. I can't find the label for the yarn. So, oh, I can find it. Just kidding. I found one of them. So it was from Holly and Ivy Dye Works. I think this is the gray color was called Shiver. I'm not sure what the red one is. It'll be in the show notes. But it's 75-25 superwash merino and nylon fingering weight. So 462 yards. I love this yarn too. It's incredibly soft considering the fact that it's just, 75-25. It's a pretty standard superwash. It's just really soft and squishy and I love it. So this is definitely coming with me to Rhinebeck. It's one of my favorite shawls to wear. So I'm going to set that aside to pack because I have not packed yet. As soon as I'm done with this, I will pack, then edit, then post, then leave for Rhinebeck. Okay, and then the last segment of my finished objects is sweaters. And I actually have 3 of them. So I'll go in order of completion. The oldest one is my Brunswick tee. This is the one that I believe I was working on. I don't think I had hardly any progress when I shared last though, because I remember I may have been splitting, or not splitting, but doing the increase row. Maybe. I cannot remember. It smells so good though. Because one of the things that I picked up at Knitter's Day Out, and I didn't bring it over to show because, who really needs to? I picked up some soak. And I have used soak for years, but I have this pretty big bottle of unscented that I'd been using for ages. And that finally ran out, and so I went out and got more soak, and I got a smell this time, a scent. I got a scent this time. I cannot remember what it is, but it makes all the difference. It smells so good using that wool wash. I've used, scented wool washes before, like samples of Eucalyptus and Tuft and things like that. But this was my first scented soak, and soak is my go-to. I love soak as a wool wash, mostly just because I usually end up with a bottle of it so that I have a lot of it on hand. Eucalyptus, for some reason, I always end up with so many little samples that I never buy a bottle of it. So it's always in small doses. Anyway, so Brunswick tee, that's what I was talking about. This I knit as part of a knit along with the Crafty Totes. I actually won that knit along, so that's one of the things I have to show in my acquisitions. I got one of the prizes. So it's their yarn. This is Sarah Crew is the top, and I never remember the bottom, but it's the name of the guy from Little Princess, Mr. Cransford, or I don't remember, but that's what the green color is. I love the green at the bottom. There are green speckles in the Sarah Crew that go well with it. It has gone through the wash and the dryer once, so I just re-blocked it last night. That's why it smells so good. So I have not tried it on again since I re-blocked it. I'm hoping that it did its job and, stretched it out a little bit more back to its gone through the dryer. My husband did it, but it was my fault because we were coming back from something and it was in my bag, and he was like, all right, can I wash everything that's in the bag? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And totally forgot that my sweater was in there. So Oh well. It seems to have survived. It looks like it's back to a good shape. Okay. Did I actually talk everything about that? Sorry, I'm all scattered. Brunswick Tea. It's by... I know who it's by. It's somebody green. It's Olive Knits. Anyway, Brunswick Tea. You can find it on Ravelry. I'll put the project page down there. Okay, my other sweater that I finished is another one that I'd been working on for a while, and you had seen. So this is my ash sweater. You've seen the yarn before because I knit a worsted boxy out of this yarn, and I never wore it, and I didn't particularly like how it was fitting me, so I ripped it out and planned to reuse the yarn. So that this is what I reused it for. I saw somebody wearing it at the Flying Fibers retreat in February and was like, yeah, that's what that yarn is going to be. So I did finish it. It had been mostly finished for a while. The pockets are one of my favorite elements. I love the half brioche hem also. So now the pockets have been sewn on, and the problem child for me was the sleeves. My biggest problem was that I didn't want another huge boxy sweater again, because I knew that's what I didn't like with the boxy. And this is also a boxy construction. It's, there's no shaping. It's very large and wide. So I made a smaller size in the body. However, what that left me with was smaller armholes than I really needed. So when I picked up and knit the sleeves, in order to make them fit my arm, it kind of made it look like a balloon, because it was tighter where the body was, and then there were more stitches, so it just kind of looked puffy. I hated it. It looked so dumb. I didn't like how it looked. I ripped out and re-knit these sleeves, I'd say at least half a dozen times between the two of them. Like, I would try something on one sleeve and then I'd leave it, and then I'd be like, I don't really like that. Not enough to rip it out yet, so I'll leave it, but let's try something else on the other sleeve, and okay, I like that better, let's try that. So I did a lot of knitting and re-knitting of these sleeves. What I finally landed on was just a little, like, 2-inch half brioche cuff, really. It turns out that when I actually wear the sweater, it comes down pretty far on my arms anyway. So I decided I didn't need more sleeve. I didn't need it to go down to my wrists. I kind of like that it was like a shorter sleeve sweater. It's more just something you throw on, over a t-shirt if it's a little bit cool. It's not a cold weather sweater for me because it's not down to my wrists. But yeah, it's like a 3/4 length, little less, half length sleeve. The way that it works out. And I really like it. It's nice. It's a nice sweater. Like I said, it's great for like throwing over something, like just a quick little sweater for warmth. And the cat's back. Okay, so I don't remember what else to talk about with it. Yeah, ash sweater. The pattern is by Quince & Co. It's in their Plain and Simple book, I think. I did have to buy the book to get the pattern. I got an ebook. Yeah, and then the yarn, I never remember if it's Plymouth or Universal. I think it's Plymouth, and the color, it's like a hand-painted, they call it hand-painted or something like that. All the information will be in my project page. It's called Blueberry, so I remember that much. Okay, the cat is sitting on my sweater, but I can't talk about it if you're sitting on it. All right, and this is my most recent finish. I just finished it 2 days ago, and I blocked it yesterday. So this is my Hitofude, which is going to be hard to show. There we go. So that's the back, and there we go. And the sleeves right here. I have not finished weaving in the ends. I really like this pattern. The yarn that I used is Holstgarn. It's the cotton and wool blend. I picked it up while I was in Texas. There was one of the yarn stores that we went to that had just a ton of colors of all the Holstgarn. So you just kind of like, it was all on like a pegboard, and it's just a lot of colors. So you go, that one. I like that one. And she goes out and gets all the yarn, and yeah, it was perfect for this sweater. My roommates were talking about this sweater, and I think Tiff started one while we were at Camp Woolslayers. I really liked the process. It's a really cool concept because it's basic. You'll have to read the pattern to see what the author actually says about it, but the idea is like a single brush stroke. So you cast on your yarn and then you just knit, and the whole shaping of it and all of that you do without breaking the yarn, which is very cool. It means it's got really interesting construction. You do start with a provisional cast on, and it's the longest provisional cast on of your life. So you have to get through that first. I actually did it. This was the first time I was trying this because I hate picking up a provisional cast on. I always end up like missing one on the end, or I almost always end up with the wrong count for some reason, like one extra or missing one. So and I just hate picking them up. Even with, different colored yarn, that tension, the stitches kind of get pulled on the yarn, and so it's hard to, especially at the ends. Yeah, I'm not finishing sentences, but you know what I mean. So what I tried this time was I actually cast on my stitches. Instead of using waste yarn, I cast them onto an extra cable, which worked out pretty well. So I did like a crochet cast on where I cast on the stitch. No, not a crochet cast on. I tried a couple of different methods. I think what I ended up doing was where you do a cast on onto the needle, and then I'm trying to remember exactly what I did. I'll have to look and see if I made any notes, or I'll have to try it again because it was interesting. But yeah, so I cast it onto an extra cable, and then I had these cables. It was actually two because you have it in two different sections. I had those cables hanging the whole time that I was knitting the top part, because you keep that provisional cast on until you get to about here in the sweater. So really the whole back. So they were just kind of hanging off, which got a little bit irritating, but every time I got irritated with it, I remembered, oh, I don't have to pick up 200 plus provisional cast on stitches, so I'm going to get over this irritation. So, yeah, so I think I'd probably do it again if I did another sweater like this, which I might. I did enjoy the process a lot. My one complaint is that I overblocked it. So you can see here, the lace is kind of doing this in the part that I'm holding up. It shouldn't do that. It's really, there's no shaping in this part. It's really just supposed to be columns of lace. But I pulled the neckband. I pulled the neckband too wide as I was laying it out, and I didn't realize that until it was already dry, and I tried it on, and the collar was really loose. So I am going to have to re-block this. I'm not going to do that before I take this to Rhinebeck this weekend, so it's just gonna fit a little funny while I'm at Rhinebeck. I'm okay with that. But yeah, it will get re-blocked because when I tried it on pre-blocking, I really liked the drape in the neck. So I need to re-block this and get it back to that shape. Also, the sleeves ended up being a lot bigger than I wanted to, so I'm gonna try and just reshape it with another blocking. Maybe not stretch some things out so much. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so it's a really fun project. It's the Hitofude, I think is how you say it, or as my Texas friends were saying in jest, the Hatafeud. So so it was a lot of fun to knit. I will probably end up making another one if I can get it to block right. It'd be a fun one to try in different colors and different yarns. Okay, that is all of my finished objects. If it's not, you'll see them next week because I don't remember if there are any others. Or not next week, next episode. Okay, so I do have a couple of whips. I really only have two that I'm actively working on. One, and they're both in my own bags, so that's kind of fun. One is a pair of socks. I have not knit a lot of socks lately.
But I do like having hand knit socks. So, so what I did on these socks, which is kind of interesting, I wear flip-flops all the time until there is physically snow on the ground that will get on my toes if I'm wearing flip-flops. I wear flip-flops. People comment all the time that my feet must be cold. They're really not. However, every once in a while, they actually do get cold in those flip-flops. It's usually when it's windy. That's the only time I really notice it. So what I decided to do was I knit a pair of socks. This is a just Felice yarn. I can't remember which one it is, but one of the Felice yarns. I did a Fleagle heel for the first time. I was trying that out, which is an interesting heel. I didn't really know how it worked. I don't know how it wears yet because I didn't actually finish the socks, but I'll see. I'll put it in my heel repertoire and determine if I'm going to do it again. It was cool to make. I do like how it looks. It's kind of got that like triangle shape to it. And it's pretty neat. I do have a tiny little hole on the side that I'll probably end up sewing up, but it's really not bad. Not as bad as some holes that I've done on other heels. So, but what's different about this sock is you already know that I do an asymmetrical toe if you've watched the podcast before during a time that I was knitting socks, which would be fairly early on. I like an asymmetric toe because the way that my foot is shaped, it really is shaped like this. I've got a big toe and then all the toes go down. I like how those fit better. I don't like how a rounded toe, I don't like how a square toe fits. They're kind of funky. So I do an asymmetric toe. I decided to take it one step further and split off the big toe from my asymmetric toe so that I could wear these with flip-flops if I wanted to. So this is the first one. I like how it turned out. I had to play with it a little bit. I didn't really do it as a pattern from anything. I basically just did the asymmetric toe, but stopped here and picked up a couple of stitches and just knit that as a short version of it. And then I just kind of made, a thumb, how you would. I think it's the equivalent of a rounded toe, just, only for one toe. So, yeah. I don't know if I took super good notes, which is why my other sock is at this point. And then I stopped because I'm at the point where I should be working on the toes. And I just got distracted. So this is waiting for its toe to match this one. It'll be the other direction, and I'll split off the big toe for it. I think that I do not make socks that often, so I think that this is really how I want to make them when I do. Because this is the most useful to me. I can wear this inside a non-flip-flop shoe also, so there's really no reason not to, as long as I can make sure that they fit well, that I am actually making them comfortable for myself. So we'll see. It may take some tweaking to get it to what I really like, but that's kind of how socks go anyway. That's why everybody has their own sock recipe. You've tweaked it to what feels good for your foot. You knit for so many stitches, you put in this type of heel, all of that. So yeah, so that is one of my whips. This is going with me to Rhinebeck with the chance to possibly get them done this weekend. I found the yarn. This is Stone Harbor. That's the color for the Felice yarn. Okay, so that's one whip. And then my other whip is a shop sample that I'm doing for Paige. I was looking to get some Knitting Mojo back. I wanted a small project to work on. So she sent me a project that she wanted me to do. So I am knitting. It's a little baby sweater. I'm knitting the Baby Sophisticate. Funny enough, I actually saw, oh my gosh, sorry. There is hair and fiber and stuff in the air and it's making me itch. I actually saw Alan and Sally talk about this sweater because I think it popped up in their Weeby Freebies like an episode or two ago. I was like, hey, I'm about to make that. So now I'm making it. It's not very far yet. I just split for the body. I knit about an inch of the body, and then I decided I wanted to go back and just do the sleeves because I love to do that when I do sweaters. I prefer to get the sleeves out of the way so they are not the last thing I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the sleeves, and then I'll get back to the body and then do the rest of it. So this is also coming with me to Rhinebeck because really those are my only 2 whips. So I need something to work on as I'm chatting with people. On here, so I've got some 9-inch circulars in an 8-inch or in a size 8. These are fixed Chowgill. I've had these for a little while because I really like 9-inch circulars for sleeves and things. 12 inches better until you get down to the cuffs, and then you really need 9. So, so I do own 9-inch circulars in a size 8. But I have 2 sleeves, and I don't like waste yarn, as you know from my provisional cast on. So I also used these 9-inch circulars, size 8. This is from my new Chowgu interchangeable kit. I also did not grab that. I'll take a picture and put it in though. It is a little pouch, and it's got 2-inch and 1.5-inch tips in sizes 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think 4 through 8, which is great for things like sleeves and cuffs and things, where you're in the bigger sizes rather than socks, which is what their smaller kit is good for. You can make between 9 and 16 inches with the different cables, because there's 3 different cable sizes, the 2 different needle sizes, and a tiny little measurer, which is like the small version of the big one that comes in their normal interchangeable kit. Yeah, so that is one of the acquisitions that I was super excited for. I got that for myself as one of my rewards for myself for losing some weight. I'm going through a weight loss journey at the moment. And so when I hit a certain threshold, I rewarded myself with those needles because I wanted them. And I had not justified the purchase yet. I'd been wanting them since I heard they were coming out, which was forever ago. Yeah, so that sweater, though, is my other whip. That's it. That's all I'm working on right now. I do have some stitching that I'm still working on. I think the last time I was talking to you was when I was still trying to do Stitch Mania. I did not finish Stitch Mania, and I have done practically no stitching since. I did one quick little project a couple of weeks ago. It was for someone else, though, so I actually don't have it anymore. I'm going to try and take a picture this weekend because I should see it this weekend, and I'll put that in next time because it's really cute. I really like the little stitch pattern that I found, and I got the pattern on Etsy, and I'll tell you all about that. But yeah, otherwise, I have not done a lot of stitching. Which of course means that my yearly stitch along, I am super far behind. I think I'm halfway through February, maybe. I think that I finished January. That's not even it. I don't even know where it is right now. I think I finished January, so I've got like half of February. So maybe, since I don't have that many knitting whips at the moment, and honestly, all the things that I have to work on, they can wait for a little while. I might focus on stitching for the rest of the year. We'll see. I probably won't stick with that, but that might be nice to get the stitching done. Because I have this other little one. I think I showed it to you guys. It says, this took forever, and it has flowers at the bottom and flowers at the top. I have the wording done, I have the flowers at the bottom done, and I have half the flowers at the top done, and it's just sitting there. I should really finish that. Actually, that is going to come with me to Rhinebeck this weekend. Maybe I will finish it. Cross your fingers for a finished object next time for that one. Okay, so that's it for projects. Really all I have left is some acquisitions. Again, I have so many that they need to go in categories. So we'll do that. I do want to show you first. This isn't technically an acquisition, but I wanted to tell you about this. I have oh gosh, the relation is hard to explain. It's my mom's cousin's wife. We just call them cousins. So they come and visit pretty often, a couple times a year, and her cousin, Clark, is known for bringing us really cool board games, learning about games and teaching us them, and then we discover them, and then we all buy them, and then we have a bunch of board games after he visits. And his wife, Miriam, is a crafter. She specifically is a cross stitcher and has been for a lot of her life. I'm pretty sure she's been doing it since she was young. She had a very impressive stash that she was unfortunately looking to get rid of. I think that she was having issues with her eyes, so she decided she really couldn't keep up with it as a hobby anymore. Her daughter also cross stitches, so most of it she offered to her first, and then she told me that she would offer me whatever she had left after her daughter made her claims. So they came to visit sometime this summer, and she brought with her 7 craft boxes, and those are like larger than a shoebox, and a couple of them are like double that size, full of cross-stitch things. There's thread, there's magazines, there's kits, there's all sorts of things. My favorite things that were in there, though, is the DMC, I don't know what you call this, but it's basically the catalog of all of their colors. It's probably missing the most recent ones because I'm pretty sure this is older. But basically, if you're looking for any color, this will tell you what the number is so that you can go out and buy it, which came in really handy when I did a cross-stitch project recently, which I will show you next time, where I was just buying the digital pattern, which I don't usually do. Usually I like buy kits because I don't have a stash, but she gave me a stash, and this was kind of like a catalog to it. So I could pick out the colors that I wanted, figure out what the numbers are, and then I went to this. There's actually 2 full ones and 1 half full one that I won't bother showing you. These are all of the DMC Plus. I don't think she's missing any of them. And they are all on the little cards, and they all have the little numbers, and they're filed in numeric order. So I went into my little catalog thing and said, okay, here's the colors that I need. And then I went into this box and I went, okay, here's where that color is. And I pulled that out, and it is fantastic. I would probably never spend the time to set this up, but now that I have it already, I think I can maintain it. Like you can see, she already had some that were empty, so she had the thread here ready to wind onto the bobbin and refile. This is like, I love doing like clerical work like this, like filing things. So this is right in my wheelhouse to actually, put it into an existing system. I did not have the patience to set it up, like I said, but I am really excited about, having this already set up for me and just kind of, maintain it as I use any flosses. Most of the things I bought were kits, so they already came with the floss, but now that I have this at my disposal, I think I'll be much more likely to just buy a digital pattern and pick out the floss myself from what I've got there. It's very cool. I'm very excited about it. This especially is very neat when you want to do your own thing to, pick out some of your own colors. I'm really excited about that. So giant thank you to her. I don't think she watches, but I have told her in person how much I appreciated it. It's just a very cool gift to receive from somebody who has spent so much of their life working on the craft. So I'll have cut out the actual drinking part, but I am drinking some coffee out of my Remembrances pottery mug. This is the one with the singing yarn ball bird. So I love it. Hi, Natalie, if you're watching. Okay, so actual acquisitions. Like I said, I have to do them in categories. So first we're going to start off with camp. This is just a couple of things that either I picked up or I won or was part of the goodie bag. So one is a Suburban Stitcher mini. She was there at camp, Diane. And this was a special camp color. So it's Camp 2019. So that was a mini that was in there in the little giveaway bag. Also some yarn from Round Table Yarns was in there in the goodie bag. This is Camelot. It's 80-10-10, so merino, cashmere, nylon. And this I think was superwash, 75-25. So superwash and nylon. And then they had these cute little like ladybug topped straight needles. Obviously, I haven't used them yet. Honestly, I don't use straight needles that often. I love using chopsticks for hair when I have long hair to just like wrap it up and stick it in. So this would be perfect for that. But I'm probably a lot of years away from that. And I have to actually decide to grow out my hair before I would be doing that. But they're really cute. There's also a little Eucalyptus sample bag. Again, Eucalyptus, I always end up with the tiny little sample ones. And then they also have these stitch markers, which I have dumped on the floor in the past. But it's the ones with the little felt ball on them. And a nice little container for it. There were a couple other things, but that goodie bag has been dispersed a bit since I got home 5 months ago. So that's what you get to see from that. I have some more things from camp, but those are yarn and they're at the bottom of my pile. So I will get back to those. The next section I'm going to talk about acquisition-wise is bags. So first up is a bag that I got from Etsy. I saw it on Instagram and really liked it, so I went ahead and got it. It's called Bathing Beauties. It's from Tesla Knits, so it's got some plus-size girls in bikinis on it, and it's really cute. So that's one bag that I got. It's a good size for a shawl, probably. I also have a bag that I got from camp. This was part of my raffle prize. I also got a mini with it, which I'll show you when I show you my yarn. And a DPN cozy. I cannot remember who the maker is. I will reach out to Sally and Ellen, see if I can find out who the maker was, and I'll put that in the notes. But that's super cute. This one is flannel, so it's nice and soft. And it's got a green inside, which you know I love green. And then, oh, hello. They're in my lap. And then at Knitter's Day Out a couple weeks ago, Danny Casey was there. And you probably know that I love her bags. My current purse is one of her bags. My old purse that I don't use anymore at the moment is also one of her bags. I have a giant knitty bag that I take to the beach. I take it on yarn festivals. You'll see it this weekend if you go to Rhinebeck. I love her bags. So I got a couple of like sweater size project bags. She uses some really heavy duty fabric. That's one reason I love her bags, is because they're so sturdy. So this is one. And then this one is the other. So I got those two bags while I was at Knitter's Day Out. I also have a lot of yarn. We're into the yarn section now. Oh, one more not in a section thing. These were actually from Campbell Slayers. They're little stitch markers that I got from Suburban Stitcher. They're actually from fireflynotesonline.com. Oh, from British Columbia. Look at that. So I'm gonna try and get fancy, and I'm just gonna hold it back here so it's actually in focus, and I'll zoom in on it because I got new editing software. So there's a little teardrop. Where should I put that? Right here. There's a little teardrop for all the stitch markers. There's a couple of those. And then a progress keeper that is a little umbrella. So those are really cute. And I still have them in the bag because I haven't used them yet. So I will do that now that I have shown you, and I can move them off of my acquisition table in my podcasting spot, because this table has just been piling up for the last 5 months. Okay, so yarn. I'm going to do camp stuff first. I got some unicorn tails. I think I picked this up at one of the yarn stores that we went to. I think it was the one actually in the place where the retreat was. Cute little yarn store. You should definitely go there. If I remember the name, I'll put it in. They also had a market at Campbell Slayer. They had a few vendors, including Mustache Yarn and Suburban Stitcher, both of which I got yarn from. So this is the yarn I got from Suburban Stitcher. I decided to go with some mohair. So this is called Happy Accident. It's silky mohair lace. It's 459 yards. So this is something I'll probably hold double with something and work on. Oh, which reminds me, I do have a whip, but it is so dormant that I haven't showed you. but it's the Unicornucopia. I got yarn for that while I was in Texas when I went to West 7th Wool, which was also really cool. I was so glad to go there and meet them. So I will hopefully show you next time because I will hopefully pick it up again. But it takes way more brain power than I have at the moment because it's brioche and brioche shaping, but it's very cool. So I'll show you that next time. This is a mini that I got with my raffle prize. It's Mondo Minis from, it's also Mustache. That's right. So this is the Mustache mini that I got with my raffle prize, and it goes really well with one of the yarns that I picked up from the marketplace, which is Ready Player One, which I love this color. I've seen it a couple of times now. I know Sally got some also, and she finished the socks that she was knitting. I haven't started the socks I was going to knit, but it's very cool because it's like gray with all these colored stripes. I love this yarn. And this is going to be perfect for the toes and heels. So I have that from Mustache. I also got a couple of other Mustache yarn. I got this one, which is Vespa, which is a very cool color. Knit up. I really like the stripes. And then I got, I think that's, yeah, it's Vespa. Okay. And then I got this, which is Shiny Happy People, which is like, that could be my nickname because, yeah, I'm a little bit cheerful. So these are both 75-25 fingering weight. I thought this was sparkly for a second. Oh, haha, I knew I had a sparkly mustache. I also got this one. Okay, two of these I think I got with the coupon code from camp after camp because I don't remember buying this much mustache at camp. But this one is Cassiopeia A, and this one is a sparkly one. So this, they're all self-striping because that's what Mustache does for the most part. And then this one has some stellina in it. So it's 75, 20, and 5, and it's a silver stellina. So those are my Mustache yarns. And that's all the yarn that I got at camp itself. Just kidding, I got one more. I cannot remember where I got this. I don't think it was from the raffle. It may have been off of the Trash to Treasure table because it may have been something that somebody else brought in. I may have gotten it at one of the stores. I honestly do not remember. I don't see a price tag on it, so I don't think I got it at the store. I think it was Trash to Treasure table. But this is Bear Hug Woolen's High Twist BFL. It's 80% superwash blue face Leicester and 20% nylon in a fingering weight. So it's like a tonal blue. I don't know what I'll do with it, but I really like the color. So, so I grabbed it. Okay, so that's all the yarn that I got. That's a lot of yarn. That was all camp yarn and, you know, the result of camp because of a coupon for Mustache. And then everything else. Okay, just a couple more skeins of yarn. This is actually what I got as my prize for the Brunswick Tea Knit Along. So this was from the Crafty Toads. It is Fiber Stash Dye Works, and the color is Zombie. And I think that it's self-striping. It looks like it will be, but I don't know how it'll knit up. So we'll see how that looks. And since I'm doing my asymmetric divided toe thing, I'm more interested in doing socks lately. So I will actually get to use all of the sock yarn that I have. And then my last acquisition that I have for you, it grabbed me on Instagram. This guy does amazing work. So so he's an indie dyer. I followed him on Instagram. I honestly don't remember how I found him. I'm sure somebody linked to him. I clicked on it, ended up following him. He is What the Flock. And his yarn is amazing. Like the colors that he gets they just blow me away. So this one is called Green Graffiti. It's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon and fingering weight. So you know I love green. This is a really fun green. It's also got some like blue in the white part here. So that's super awesome. Then I got this one, which looks like watermelon. It's actually called Watermelon Crush. This is 100% superwash merino fingering weight. It's got these little dark things in it too that I love for like representing the seeds. And it's got some, again, just amazing colors in it. And then the last one I got is this neon rainbow, which is called Neon Abstract. And it's 100% superwash merino. That's right. These two are DK, not fingering weight. Because I'm trying to move away from just getting fingering weight, because I find that most of the projects I actually like making are DK, and I need to expand my DK stash. So I got these three. He just posted on Instagram, and I went, you know what? I need those. So I went over to his shop and grabbed them. That is it now. Okay, so I will hopefully do another podcast in the not too distant future. Maybe 2 weeks from now. Hopefully not 5 months from now. So we'll see. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for hanging in there. I know it's been a while. Just a reminder, the hat along. Don't forget to start going in the chatter. Post your finished objects. As many hats as you want. And I'll give you more information as I decide if we're going to push that deadline to a little bit later. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.